Welcome to another episode of Positive Solutions for Life. This is Peggy Meyer. Today's guest is Jayne Sanders. Jayne is a master scientific hand analyst featured in a Forbes article about her work. As a hand analyst, she can reveal your purpose, special gifts, and blind spots, then guide you into the inspired meaning and action to take to make your life even better. When not doing her purpose work, Jayne can be found on the trail riding her beautiful chestnut quarter horse, Scarlet, or eating dark chocolate, which is one of my favorites too. But I am not going to be doing that at the same time, but you can find Jayne doing that. So welcome to the podcast, Jayne.
Thank you so much, Peggy. Happy to be here.
Yes, thank you for joining me. I'm excited for our conversation because this is a topic really that I honestly know nothing about. And I'm sure a lot of listeners have not heard about being a hand analyst. So I am excited for this. And with that, can you start the conversation by just sharing just a little bit more about you and your journey and how it has led to where you are today?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm a corporate brat, MBA, and had three careers prior to this one, but wasn't happy after a few years in each of them. I just reached a point where I was like, there's got to be something better than this.
Mhm.
And I really believed that everybody has a life purpose, and I didn't know what mine was, and that was the problem.
Mm.
So, but I didn't know how to figure it out. I did work with a career coach, and that didn't help. And I just kept doing what I was doing. And the last career, I was a professional speaker, and that lasted longer. I liked it better, but
Mhm.
still hit that point of the.
Yeah.
And, as my heart pulled away from the business, so did the revenue. And I was just in this downward spiral, and then got one of those proverbial two-by-fours, the cosmic two-by-four. And both of my parents passed away within 3 months of each other. And it was just a real wake-up call. I was
Mhm.
like, man, life is short, and I need to figure out what's going on and quit farting around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where do you go when you're trying to find information? I went to Google
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and Googled, how do I find my life purpose? And went down a couple of tracks that didn't work out, but eventually ran across a headline for a teleseminar, and it read, Discover Your Innate Life Purpose. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's for me, and clicked on that.
Mhm.
And the first words I saw were hand analysis. Well, I was very disappointed by that because I know that a lot of palm readers call themselves hand analysts. Nothing against palm readers, they can be a lot of fun and helpful.
Mhm.
But I knew it wasn't going to give me what I needed.
Mhm.
But then I saw the word scientific, and that's a big important difference with this work. It's called scientific hand analysis.
Mhm.
And I just held on to that one word and let it put aside my anal MBA skepticism and listen to the teleseminar. And you know what, Peggy? It just made sense. I really couldn't ignore it or poo-poo
Mhm.
it. And
Mhm.
I really wanted my purpose.
Yeah.
So I had it done. I mean, just it was like, oh my God, there's my whole life. No wonder those things worked, but those things didn't. And I liked
Mhm.
those things, but I didn't like those things. And no wonder I made that decision. And I should have made that decision. And it just, wow, I have goosebumps talking
Oh
about it.
yeah, I am getting them too because it's just I could feel the energy.
Oh
It's just
my
like,
God, yeah. Even things I'd never thought of that came through
yeah.
in this analysis made sense and
Mhm.
resonated,
Mhm.
including the purpose. It's not a job description. That would be cuckoo. It's a description of the concept behind your ideal work, and everybody has options.
Mhm.
Well, this statement and concept totally made sense to me. I knew it was right, but I
Mhm.
didn't know what it looked like in
Mm.
terms of work. But I
Mhm.
also believed if I took action on the information, and that's one of the things I love about this work, it's actionable.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way the universe works, I would find my way. And that's
Mhm.
exactly what happened. And within a few months, I was like, duh, if I was so lit up and inspired by this analysis before I even knew what to do with it,
Mhm.
I want to help people feel like that.
Yeah.
So I started studying it, started doing it after my first level certification. I'm as highly certified now as possible. That's 4 levels. And I'm a master, very few masters, which just is the sheer number of analysis that I have conducted.
Yeah.
So, oh, I'm in my place now. I'll do this until for some reason I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that is so exciting because we are often on this path. Like we need to find, our purpose, but like you're saying, it's not like this job description. It's like, here, this is X,
Yeah.
Y, Z. It's more of kind of general, I don't know, general concepts or something that, make you who you
Mhm.
are. You tell me because I'm just very infantile in this.
Well, you're right. I mean, it's the concept. So maybe this will help. What I found, the reason the other careers didn't work is because I wasn't going deep enough with people.
Mm,
And, as a professional speaker, I was going deeper because I was doing some consulting and coaching and
mhm.
stuff like that. And that's why that career lasted longer
Yeah.
than the other two before I got bored and
Yeah.
unfulfilled, but it wasn't deep enough yet. And
Mhm.
that's why I did hit that point of the.
Mhm.
So, it made so much sense to me.
Yeah.
It just was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's lots of ways that I could fulfill my purpose, but I loved this work. It was
Mhm.
so unique and powerful and life changing.
It was more of like what you were like trying to feel, right? Like you kind of said something like you had to go deeper. It was a sense of, a deeper feeling, I guess.
Well, I needed to go deeper with people. I
Okay.
needed to help them more deeply than I was.
Hmm.
What I needed to feel and if you're in alignment with purpose, you have deeper and more consistent joy and fulfillment.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what people crave is that fulfillment, and they don't know
Mhm.
what they're missing. And the more than half of the world is not in alignment with purpose
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
does not feel fulfilled. They're just going through the motions like
Yeah.
I did for
Yeah.
decades.
Yeah. So like, okay, so you said scientific. How is that a little different than palm reading? Because I
Mm.
don't know how many people are, versed in that, but like this is scientific, and you kind of alluded to palm reading maybe isn't in that category.
Right, not at all. Um, Palm reading has a great reliance on the intuitive level of the reader.
Okay.
Scientific hand analysis, the lines in your hands mimic the neural pathways in your brain.
Mhm.
The gentleman that put this database together, it's a learnable database. Anybody can learn it.
Mhm.
Spent 40 years,
Oh
talk
wow.
about anal,
Yeah.
and
Talk about
analyzed.
loving his work.
Thank God, yeah. And analyzed over 30,000 hands to put this information together. I mean, an FDA approved drug only requires a few hundred.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is 30,000.
Wow.
And he wrote a book about it, and the foreword to his book was written by a neurosurgeon from Stanford
Mm.
who was using scientific hand analysis with some of his patients. So it's a very reliable, robust,
Mhm.
accurate system.
Mhm.
So very different than palm reading. I mean, there's some of the terminology that's the same,
Mhm.
um,
Mhm.
but yeah, this is really reliable, scientific.
So do we all have kind of I know we have like a unique fingerprint, but is that the whole hand as well is just very unique to each one of us somewhat?
Um, it's unique. Like there are some markings that there's only four possibilities or something like that,
Mhm.
but we get a lot of important information from the fingerprints, and they are unique, and they don't change throughout your life. So the information that I would get from your fingerprints
Mhm.
is the core of who you are.
Mhm.
And that's where we get the foundation of your purpose, um, something called your life school, which is if you were a computer, it would be like your operating system.
Mhm.
It's
Okay.
the
Yep.
filter through which you experience life and make a lot of decisions.
Mhm.
And then the life lesson, which is to me, the cost of the hand analysis is worth finding what your life lesson is because that's your biggest tripping point.
Oh my gosh.
That's the greatest obstacle, keeping somebody from that deeper and more consistent joy and fulfillment.
Mhm.
So taking action on your life lesson is very rewarding. In
Yeah.
other words, you get big bang for your buck.
Right. Right. So how new is this? Or like, you mentioned the bios as like a Forbes article. Like why? Why? Just because nobody really knows about it? Or what was the reason?
Why did Forbes write the
Yeah.
article? I
Yeah.
mean, first of all, it's been around now 40 years. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, and it continually evolves,
Mhm.
little bit by little bit.
Mhm.
But I sat next to the reporter at a conference, and when people say, "What do you do? Well, what do you do?" And I tell them, and they're like, "What?" And so, if I can, I'll do just a few minutes of what I call a mini reading
Yep.
to demonstrate the accuracy.
Mhm.
And I did that for this reporter. And, people are usually shocked at the
Yeah.
accuracy. And she said, wow, if you do a full analysis for me and for this gentleman in the internet marketing industry, that was back when the internet marketing was just really building.
Mhm.
And we're getting ready to do a collaboration together. And if you tell us who should do which part of the project and what we should watch out for working together, if it makes sense to me, I'll write an article.
Mm.
that's why she wrote the article.
Yeah.
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 So it was her personal experience. And
Hmm.
it's, the article itself is a little bit shallow. You know, Forbes has to be careful with stuff like that.
Right. Right.
Still, I mean, I know the reason she wrote it. And,
Yeah.
there's no other modality like this that's been in Forbes that I'm aware of. So,
Right. Right. So when you help people, like what kind of things, what do they say when they're done? Like after they get an analysis, like what kind of things come up for them?
um, they feel, even those that know their own purpose
Hmm.
or suspected that they were, feel even more confident in their purpose and in the special talents that they have to help them fulfill their purpose. So their confidence grows even more, and that changes everything. And it just subtly changes your life, when you step more into who you are, because it's pretty much everything about who you are, and how you're meant to help people. When you step more deeply into that, that's life changing. So, I mean, I have hundreds of testimonials on my website, and they often say that it changed their lives, that, they just feel a lot better as a person and as the person that's doing the work that
Hmm.
they do, how they're helping people.
Hmm.
Um, During a hand analysis, I get freaky accurate a lot. They're just like, this is freaking me out because it's so accurate.
Yeah. Yeah.
And um, yeah, I mean, I would say, I don't know, somewhere between 30 and 50% of women cry
Hmm.
because they're so touched and they feel so seen,
Hmm.
more than ever before.
Yeah.
So it can be a bit of an emotional experience as well.
Hmm.
Good emotion.
Yeah. I could sense like some validation sometimes from people.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Some feel very validated. It gives you, I call it your North Star.
Hmm.
It gives you where to go to live
Hmm.
your best life
Hmm.
and to achieve that joy and fulfillment that everybody wants. And
Yeah.
then it tells you here what to work on to help you get there.
Yeah. Yeah. So is this something that like I would say like, something that only can be done in person or can you do this remotely? Because I mean,
I know, great question. You
I
would
don't know
think,
how that would work, I
yeah,
guess.
yeah. So I
Just
can
calling somebody
see,
in.
actually, I can show you, see if I have one here. Yeah, an example.
Okay.
So see,
Oh,
see the detail that shows up on that?
yeah. Yeah.
So I use handprints.
Okay.
And, I have clients in 12 countries
Nice.
because I send them the it's a 9 by 12 envelope with stuff in it to
Mhm.
instructions and everything and ink sheets. They send their prints back to me. I scan them in, and then we do everything on Zoom. And I can show them, mark on their prints, and
Mhm.
show them the markings that I'm talking about, which is fascinating to
Yeah.
somebody to see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And so there's 2 calls with me, an hour for the analysis, and then 30 minutes after they've watched that recording, because
Mhm.
it's a fire hose of information.
Yeah.
And I'm talking and somebody's thinking about how that applies to their life, and I'm still talking.
Yep.
So it's really hard to pick it all up.
Yep.
So I, say, let's have another call and watch the recording, make note of any questions at all. And then that second 30 minutes is to help them apply the information and
Mhm.
understand it even more deeply.
Yeah.
So they get recordings of both Zoom calls and a summary report that's several pages long that has the top level of all the different markings that I'm talking about. So it's quite an experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a work of art. I mean, it's like
Kind of,
just
you
that
see the hands
handprint
on
is,
my wall,
I know,
people give
I
me
see that.
hands, so
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that is so interesting. Like, can you just walk through us? I mean, I know you just like, oh, you just said, okay, well, yes, you can do it remotely. You can, get the handprints.
Mhm.
And can you just kind of like, if people are just like, I don't know, like kind of skeptical, like, what is this process all about? Can you kind of like, how would you explain it to somebody that's kind of like, I'm kind of interested, but I don't know.
Well, and I get that. I wasn't sure either, but I just really wanted my purpose.
Yeah.
And I'm really into I was a coach, so I'm really
Yeah.
into personal growth and
Mhm.
development. And it's a very highly tuned
Mhm.
personal development tool,
Yeah.
assessment, if you
Yeah.
will.
Yeah.
But it tells you where to take action and what to work on.
Hmm.
So, you know, I usually don't have to talk people into it. If it's for them, it is. It's not, I
Hmm.
don't want to talk somebody into it. Usually people know when they're attracted to it. They may not have all the answers, but they want to know what it has to say. And
Hmm.
there are people who are interested
Hmm.
in growth in these type of modalities and people who aren't.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just know I'll send them to my website to read all those testimonials.
Hmm.
Um, I can say I've never been asked for a refund out of, thousands of
Hmm.
analysis.
Yeah.
Um, I know it works. I know it's powerful, unless you take it and poke it in a drawer.
Yeah.
You got to take action. And
Mm-hmm.
even then, some people that don't, they've got so much information in that first call,
Mm-hmm.
they even unknowingly or unintentionally start taking action on it,
Oh, yeah.
you know, very vaguely. It's just kind of the way the universe works. So,
Well, I think once you know something, you can't unlearn it. Like you can't unknow
yeah,
it. And so
right.
that the universe just kind of like it's just another whisper, but maybe it's not so loud, but
Yeah,
like you said, they're kind of just inadvertently, subtly taking action toward that. And that's
exactly. And, I guess I've heard somebody say, well, what have you got to lose
yeah.
by doing it? Well, you have the cost of it,
Mhm.
which is, it's not cheap.
Mhm.
But I don't know. Either it's for you or it's not,
Right. Right. Right.
I'm like, just trust, just
Yeah. Yeah.
somebody's not happy in their work and knows they're not quite on it,
Hmm.
purpose, and they're seeking or feel lost or things aren't working, anything like that. They need to do something.
Hmm. Right.
So,
Right.
you got to take action somewhere.
Right.
So this is a good place.
Exactly. You've mentioned a few times sending people to their to your website.
Yeah,
Can you let listeners know what that website is, like so they can find out more about you and whatever you have on it that they can find out more about your hand analysis.
absolutely. It's quite a comprehensive website, and it's Purpose Whisperer.
Okay.
.com. And,
Okay.
I'm a horse freak, so I'm a horse whisperer. And friend goes, oh, you're a purpose whisperer too. And I'm like, that's a good name.
Well, thank you for
So,
that.
and it explains all about hand analysis, what it provides, what it offers, what you learn from it, why it's so powerful,
Hmm.
uh, testimonials galore, speaking stuff.
Hmm.
Uh, and I also, so I don't forget,
Hmm.
I'd like to offer your listeners a special price.
Great.
On my website, if somebody goes there to buy a hand analysis, it's $4.97, which is about average.
Mhm.
And I've never taken my price up
Yep.
in 12 years. But for your listeners, I'd like to take 100 off that. So $3.97. And
Okay.
they could contact me through my website. There's contact buttons in different places.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can send them the payment information for
Okay.
that.
Okay.
And
Awesome.
yeah, then I just need their mailing address to send them that envelope and get them
Hmm.
started.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you for that special offer for the
Yeah,
listeners. I hope
my
they
pleasure.
take up on because it's so very interesting to, a lot of us struggle with what our purpose is. We want to feel more fulfilled because we're like,
Yeah,
well, because I think that's just our life. I mean, in general, that is kind of a purpose of life is to just feel the joy
yeah,
and fulfillment in life and just be
yeah,
alive. And a lot of us are just kind of mundanely going through the motions and going through life and not really happy, but not really knowing where to go. And this is like, that's like nothing. Like $400 is to be able to like have a clear direction on who you
yeah,
really are,
yeah,
what, sets your course, what's your North Star,
yeah.
and like put in like sometimes you just need somebody to tell you like what trips you up. You
Yes,
know?
that's the helpful part, you know.
Yeah.
And I guess if somebody doesn't want to know where they need to take action in their life, they shouldn't get a hand analysis.
No,
But
yeah, yeah. They can just live in that, kind of twirly whirly
yeah,
chaotic world. But
and commenting on what you just said, um, people, their goal, they want to be happy.
hmm.
And that's wonderful. You need to be happy. But if you're not fulfilled,
Hmm.
oh, there's going to be a hole.
Yeah.
There's still going to be a hole. And you can try to fill it by doing more happy stuff, and it's not going to work.
Yeah.
You got to have fulfillment.
Yeah, the fulfillment just being in alignment with all of that, your purpose, what brings you joy, what brings you happiness, really, I mean, it comes from your heart center and you're, right there, God made you for a purpose. So like,
That's
he's
right.
going to let you like live it out for a while, but then also send people like you to help them understand what it is and what trips them up.
And I think that's one of the reasons um, that it's so meaningful for people.
Mhm.
It's in their hands,
Yeah.
right? And it's if somebody's thinking, well, are there just 10 different possible purposes? Oh no, hundreds of options. This is not like one of those assessments that you can fit into one of nine boxes or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Hundreds of options.
Yeah.
So it is very unique. I mean, sure, somebody might have the same purpose as somebody
Mhm.
else, but how
Mhm.
they express it is
Yeah.
kept on my keyboard. How they express it is different.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. That's awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am going to put your website and stuff on in the show notes so that people can easily get a hold of
great,
you. And
great.
as we wrap up, is there like, one last thought, quote, or something that we haven't touched on that you'd like to leave the listeners with?
I think what's really important is this comment. I don't care how good your life is now.
Hmm.
If you take action on what's in your hands, your life will only get better.
Love it. Love it.
You
It's
know,
right here, our hands.
that's right. It's
It,
in your
it's
hands. It's
in
all in your hands.
It's
Yeah.
all in our hands. And we
Yeah.
can use that in so many different ways. And you use it to analyze, but this is the action part too.
Yeah.
Our hands are doing the work. So
Yes.
we need to do that.
Yeah.
Thank you
It's
so
great.
much for
Thank you, Peggy. This has been fun.
it
Very
has
good
been
interview.
fun. It's so informational. I am so excited for the listeners to hear this and just reach out to you just to get that information or even just to look on your website and get the information off of
Yeah.
that. But really take a serious look at getting your hand analyzed for your purpose and your trip ups. So,
They will be happy they did.
yes. Thank you so much.